today on the Tearsheet podcast.
And then the third thing is in terms of building like more and more products and technology that help them operate their business better. And that's the ethos that we started from when we built TeamCards and Team Accounts. It's really operational tools that sit within the finance function to help companies operate more effectively and more efficiently. And we think more and more the lines between finance and operations will become blurred.
Welcome to the Tearsheet podcast. I'm Zack Miller. Between startup challenger banks and digital arms of incumbent banks, small businesses still struggle to get services. Startups as clients are particularly challenged given the particular needs around cash management. Today's guest is Everett Cook, co-founder and CEO at Rho Business Banking. As a hedge fund analyst, he saw an opportunity to change the way businesses interacted with banks. Rho targets venture-backed startup clients that fall between the cracks at the Chases and Wells and firms like Silicon Valley Bank. With $1 million to $30 million in revenue, these companies are too big and complex to operate out of a general checking account, but not big enough to warrant attention at the big banks. Everett discusses his firm's recent launch of TeamCards and Team Accounts, which offers managers at startups deep insights and analytics into their business performance by seeing a snapshot of their team's performance on a cash flow basis in real time inside their bank accounts. We discuss the challenges in banking high-growth companies and where Rho is headed. Everett Cook is my guest today on the Tearsheet podcast.
My name's Everett Cook. I'm CEO and co-founder of Rho Business Banking.
And before we get into Rho, how did you end up here?
So I started out in finance. Actually, before that, I started out working for Mayor Mike Bloomberg in high school and college, and then spent about 10 years in finance. During that period, I saw a lot of the changes happening in capital markets. A lot of the people in my sort of circle and area became fintech and entrepreneurs. And I realized there was like a large opportunity to change, and then financial services overall were going through a generational transformation. So I teamed up with my partner, Alex, who came from a technology and product background, and we started Rho about a year and a half ago.
And why start a new business bank?
Yeah, so we saw like a lot of the change and transformation that was happening at the capital markets level. We're much better as a sort of society at pricing and understanding risk, at building financial products, but a lot of that had yet to really impact the end users that are actually accessing capital markets and accessing their bank, which is ultimately where all of everything flows into. So from our perspective, the place that needed the most change and the place where we could have the largest impact was in business banking. It's an incredibly large part of the economy. It's an incredibly large part of the financial system. And it's a universally disliked user experience. So both from finance background and just from a personal perspective, having used a lot of business banks with myself and my partner, when we were starting up companies, when he was starting companies and operating them, we felt like it was the last place that had really undergone a transformation and the place that needed it the most. So we picked that as a place where we could have the largest impact and make the biggest difference.
And I guess where do, and this is not to disparage competition, but where do most business banks, I guess, fall short? And I guess we can use that as a segue to talk about what Rho is and how you fix that, I guess.
Absolutely. So most businesses are banked at the top 5 banks in the US, B of A, Chase, Wells, et cetera, Citi. And frankly, it's not that large a segment for them. They make most of their money on consumer banking and on very large corporates. Everyone in the middle is a little bit of an afterthought for them. And you can see it in the product and in the service and in how they manage those customers. So for us, we really just focus on one thing, and we try to do it exceptionally well. And that is focusing on companies that they're sort of startups that are, venture-backed or will be venture-backed, and then mid-market companies that are 1 to 30 million in revenue. So these are companies that are too big to operate their business out of a standard checking account. They need more than that. And they're too small to necessarily be a really big important client to one of the big banks. And we feel like they're neglected. We've been them, and we understand the experience from the other side. And we feel like we can really help them. And so we come at it from both equal sides, technology and service. We think they need both, frankly. We don't think a technology product is enough just for them to operate their business. And we think we try to like excel on both sides. And that's sort of how we built our organization is similarly, where it's like equal parts finance and technology. My background was finance. My partner's background was technology. And that's really in our DNA and how we like try to service our customers.
So you gave examples of some of the largest banks in the U.S., the Chases, the Wells, but it sounds more like you're targeting a customer that would bank with Silicon Valley Bank. Are you taking aim at one or the other?
We see customers from either side. Yeah, I think a lot of them are a bank like Silicon Valley Bank as well. Silicon Valley Bank, not to pick them out, but they've done an exceptional job at certain things. But again, they also like aren't oriented towards that customer. That is not really where they make their money, and that's not really where they get paid. So yeah, like we've seen a lot of like customers come from Silicon Valley Bank because we offer like better experience, better product.
So what specifically do these high growth, venture-backed startups need from a bank, and how do you provide it to them?
So they need a couple things. We think that they need, first of all, they do need like best in class core banking, checking account, cash management account. They want to be paid, like best in class rates. They want to be able to stretch their runway and be able to, grow any excess capital that they have on their balance sheet. That's sort of step one. Step two, we think that they need a level of service where they have someone that they can talk to, where they have a point of contact at the company that actually knows their business and knows who they are. So they don't walk into a branch and are, sort of a new customer every day. Or, a lot of the time when we would have an experience with a bank, it would be, we would open an account and I wouldn't hear from them until funds were deposited. Let's say we did a capital raise. You get a call the next day, be like, oh, hey, a couple $1 million should up into your account. By the way, like, can I do anything for you?
Let me tell you things. Yeah.
Right. We really believe in like full service support. And then the third thing is in terms of building like more and more products and technology that help them operate their business better. And that's the ethos that we started from when we built TeamCards and Team Accounts. It's really operational tools that sit within the finance function to help companies operate more effectively and more efficiently. And we think more and more the lines between finance and operations will become blurred as you have better controls and you have better visibility on spend. You don't need to have this like hard segregation between one department and the other, where anybody touching funds sort of sits over here and anybody operating the business sits over here. It creates waste and it creates inefficiency, and that's something that technology can solve. So from our perspective, those customers that are in that should look to their bank to solve actual problems, both financial and operational as it relates to funds.
So that's a really interesting point. So can we talk about those new products? I believe they're called TeamCards and Team Accounts. Can you take us through what those are and the problems they solve?
Absolutely. Thanks. So we built TeamCards and Team Accounts, and they're two products that work well together. Based on the experience of my co-founder, actually, when he was Chief Product Officer at List, which is a large technology company in Europe. And he really had difficulty managing like his employees and partners' spend. And they ended up just creating virtual cards sort of on a ad hoc basis to kind of manage it. It was a little bit of a duct tape solution. It worked for them though. So we tried to formalize some of that. And basically what we built was our teams, which you can create within your Rho account, and then team cards, which you can attach to those teams. And those allow you to manage spend on a budgeted basis. Teams can be anything from an actual team of people to a line item on your budget to say, like if you have a couple large clients, to a client account, however you want to designate your business or however you want to think about your business. And then cards like attached to it and flow straight through. So do ACHs, so do wires. The really interesting part about it, and the part that I think is really helpful for companies, is this is a step that's outside of accounting. It flows through to accounting, but as everybody knows, the way that like entrepreneurs look at their business and the way that accountants look at the business are generally two different things. And so we wanted to create this place where you can create sort of whatever designation you want. Ultimately, it won't impact your accounting. Your accounting is going to be built based on GAAP, but you can see where money is going and how it's flowing on a real-time basis. And that's really important because typically, if you're relying on your accountant or your accounting platform, your client accounting team, to see performance and to see flow of funds, you're typically operating with like a 45 to 60 day lag in terms of like actually having true visibility. And for a startup or for any like high growth company, or for really any company, that's too late. You can't make course corrections. You can't really make tactical changes if you're operating with 2 months sort of a rear view. So we try to make it sort of as real time as possible, giving more and more visibility to the way that the company is actually operating from a financial perspective. And that's sort of the inspiration that we take as we continue to build more and more products in this space.
So in a way, if I understand this correctly, I mean, this is the type of information I would have gotten from my ERP or an accounting package, and now I'm getting it from a bank. Do you think that's the role that I guess leading banks or new banks will take going forward? Like, is the role of a bank changing, I guess, in the commercial realm?
I think to some extent, yeah, it is. We work with like the ERP and with the accounting system. We're never trying to be that or try to displace that. However, I think that there is a place where you want to be able to have flexibility that isn't necessarily going to impact the way that your books are handled or treated. So the fact that you can have like a different designation on the, say, CEO side or on the CFO side, or in general, like operationally, from the way that the accounts are treated on the ERP side is incredibly helpful for entrepreneurs, because you no longer have to worry about like doing something that might make an impact on accounting just for visibility's sake. I think that in general, like business banks should be going this direction, should be like just focusing on, providing financial services like in an excellent way and then helping their customers run more efficiently. I don't know if I wouldn't want to call it a trend because I don't see many other people doing this, but certainly that's our focus.
And so what about connectivity? As you mentioned, and I didn't mean to imply that you were replacing the ERP, but is connectivity really important now for in this generation for startups, be able to connect to all their different platforms? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, no data, like whether it's operational or financial or revenue related, should be an island. Things need to work well together. We don't intend to rebuild the full stack of like business products. It's like a task that nobody can do but on their own. So we believe in an ecosystem approach, and we want to play our part in that ecosystem, which is like core banking, and extend outside of that a little bit to just help people manage their finances. But ultimately, like we connect to multiple APIs. We're adding more almost every week, and basically any company that if we don't have something, companies can come to us and we will build it for them, because we believe generally that if they're asking for it, there's probably other companies that need it as well.
Interesting. And so like, so a company can see within a Rho account, their business performance on a cash flow basis, real time. Is the next step, let me ask you this. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Where does automation plan or help or decision making? Do you plan to take Rho in that direction? Meaning it's one, to provide visibility, a new type of visibility. Do you plan to take it to the next level where you're helping your customers make business decisions?
I don't think we're necessarily ever going to be in the place where we are helping them make the decision themselves per se. We definitely want them to give them the most information possible so they can make the best informed decision with like the most up-to-date data. Making like business intelligence decisions, I think is probably moves outside our scope a little bit. But realistically, like we just want to be able to help companies that can grow and help them with business banking. And again, I think if we step back and we think about like where we sit versus where the rest of the industry sits today, at least, there's such a large gap between just in product and service. I think most the internet and in general technology products have moved so fast. If you look at companies like Slack or HubSpot or Zendesk or any of these like commercial B2B tools, they're incredibly intuitive and well built and deep. And then you log into like your regular bank account at one of the top 5 banks, and it feels like you're going back in time in a little bit. So I think from our perspective, we're trying to bring that forward without sort of losing the human element of banking that we think is critical.
So you mentioned in the earlier part of our conversation that these types of companies are underserved, for the various reasons you just described. What do they do? What have they done in the interim, before Rho came around? Did they, I guess, did they have a lot of, were they completely underserved, or did they kind of have makeshift solutions, I guess, to help service, to find
Yeah.
service in a way that didn't exist or wasn't consolidated?
What we've seen on the technology side is they had makeshift service, whether it was something that ultimately ended up in an Excel sheet, or different vendors, some of which worked well together, some of which didn't. And we are comfortable with that too. Like we love customers that have where we can plug into other services that they use. We think generally it was like something that was kind of weak on the technology side, that was kind of smoothed over by service a little bit. And so like from our perspective, like we certainly don't want to lose that. We don't want anyone to trade one for the other, but we think you deserve both. And I think that's a big distinction between us and sort of other people in the space. They're typically either one or the other, and you have to make a choice. And for companies that have employees and payroll and people that really depend on them to provide robust and stable financial services, that's not a fair choice to ask people to make. Frankly, I don't think that you want to have one or the other. You need both of those things.
And do you assign a relationship manager, a human being, to these accounts?
Yeah, we do.
Can you take us through that? What that looks like? I guess the touch points there.
Absolutely. So, our team is out meeting with companies every single day. If you come in just through our website, you will get assigned a relationship manager, or if you are, like if we come to you and we meet with you to discuss Rho, like the person that is meeting with you will ultimately be your point of contact to the company. So yeah, we believe in like continuity across that, and ultimately allows us to help our customers do much more as we introduce more and more products. Especially, we share them with our earlier clients and try to help and really understand their businesses. That way we can help them. Like from cards to financing, like that is like all sort of within our remit. And we really believe in like ultimately being as robust as any of the people like that are sort of the incumbents in our space. So we expect as we move through next year, there becomes really nothing that they can do that we can't. And the only way that we can actually like access that is by building relationships.
Interesting. So those relationship managers both help to introduce clients to new products and new services that you guys are launching. They also provide a feedback loop back to you guys, to your business,
Yeah,
in terms of what their customers are needing and where they're falling down?
Yeah, that's right. And that's critical. We are like 100% customer centric. We try not to build anything that nobody would want. That's a massive waste of effort. And really importantly, like we try to build things that people do want. So we spend a lot of time trying to understand our customers, trying to understand like what's repeatable. And the product team and the sales team like are, like sit right next to each other and are very, very close, because that's the only way I think we can get like really like fast feedback and ultimately like continue to like improve its product.
Sorry to keep hammering away at this, but is there a special skill set, I guess, in a digital banking world for that guy or woman who's filling that role?
No, it's an interesting question. We have a couple. I'm not sure the answer to that. I guess we have different people that are like have different talents. I think it depends on the vertical that you're covering. You need to understand those companies. So we have, some guys.
Oh, are they structured vertically?
Girls. It tends to happen that way,
Okay.
sort of regardless.
So they get industry expertise and
Exactly.
Okay.
So like, I think if you're covering startups, you need to understand startup culture, right? It's a different industry than sort of other spaces. So you need to understand that culture. Similarly, if you're covering, finished services companies, you need to understand something about how they operate. And so like, I think that there's sort of a context. There is also just like a profile of the person. And we've had like success with multiple different profiles. People that came from finished services or commercial banking are really excited to work for us because we actually give them like a modern tech platform that they can like build build a business on that can ultimately drive more volume, more clients, and more success and happier clients. We heard from a lot of people that came from big banks. It was like an endless frustration of working with their technology, and client issues generally were related to technology. And then we also have people that are just that are have deep networks and really understand the customer. One of our team members, it's an entrepreneur, had built a company, understands that space really well, understands the type of companies around that space really well. So yeah, it is a mix, but ultimately we look for great people that really are customer centric, and people that who their peers and their friends trust. That's sort of the first step.
Got it. And in terms of, you mentioned your teams are out meeting with companies all the time. How do you attract new businesses to your platform? What was the acquisition funnel look like? How do people hear about you? Where are you finding success?
Yeah, I mean it's varied. We have a lot of people that just hear about us and join us online. And then we also go out to companies that we think would be great fits for Rho, and talk to them about where they are today and how we can help. Yeah, we always love when companies come to us, obviously.
Yeah.
But we think we need to be proactive in our mission and sharing that with the world.
Got it. And we have time for one last question. I'm curious. So you launched TeamCards and Team Accounts. At least what you can share with us. What is what's it left in the product pipeline? I guess. What are you most excited about for 2020? What are your big goals?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot to do in 2020,
Yeah.
so we're really excited. We're moving really fast as a company, and we continue to get customer insights from our clients or from prospective clients. I'm really amazed at how quickly we can continue to turn around technology and product. It's really credit to my partner Alex, more not me, but. We continue to iterate really quickly to build around our customers. We're really excited to be able to partner with more banks, and we operate on a bank partnership model. So partner with more high quality institutions across the United States to help our customers achieve more and offer more and more products, both on the deposit and on the credit side.
Great, Everett. Thanks for joining us on the Tearsheet podcast.
Thanks, Zach. It's great speaking with you.